In Pali, the Buddha's language, Nirvana is referred to as Nirodha. It is one aspect of the Four Noble Truths realized by the Buddha at his enlightenment and revealed to the world for the first time in the Buddha's first sermon called Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta. Here, the word Nirodha is formed by the prefix ni and the word rodha. The word rodha in Pali means a prison. Ni is negation. Negation of the prison means freedom from the prison. What is imprisoned in the prison is our original state, our original nature. Our original nature is nothing but Nirvana. Nirvana is our original state and the original nature. And that is imprisoned in our mind. Our mind is imprisoned in our body. Body means the mind is controlled by the sense organs in our body. In fact, the mind is controlled by the sense desires. Desires of our sense organs. Therefore, mind starts working. The working of the mind is called thinking. Thinking is the working process of the mind. Thinking is referred to by the Buddha as Pancha Upadana Khandha in his first sermon. Here in Dhammacakkappavattana Sutta, he said, Pancha Upadana Khandhapi Dukkha. Sankittena, in a summary form, he described dukkha. Dukkha is translated into English as suffering. Here, the mental suffering. The mind is suffering because of thinking. Thinking is produced by our positive and negative desires based on our ignorance of the reality. Positive desire is attachment to pleasant things. Negative desire is the resentment of unpleasant things. We get attached to pleasant sensory objects, objects that we perceive through our sense organs, called eye, ear, nose, etc. And our sense organs also perceive unpleasant objects. The mind becomes pleased with pleasant objects of sense organs and get displeased with the unpleasant objects of the sense organs. both this pleasure and displeasure is based on the reality of the sense objects that we perceive through our sense organs and sensed by the mind. The reality of sense organs can never be known or detected by the sense organs because their capacities are limited. For example, when you look at the sun or the moon in the sky, there seem to be some plates, the size of a plate, but they are much, especially the sun is much more bigger than the earth, but we don't see its real object. Not only sun and moon, but even small stars are mighty objects. They are suns, sometimes bigger than our sun. Not only planets, not only stars, but even a multi-jumbo jet flying high in the sky is detected by our eye as a small bird. We cannot hear the sounds even a dog can hear. This means all our sense organs have a limited capacity to know the nature of the sense objects. And they are never capable of knowing the real nature of sense organs. That is why our mind gets attached to sense organs and resents sense organs without knowing their reality. The other aspect of their reality is all sense objects are subjected to birth, decay and death, referred to in Pali as Jati, Jara, Marana. Our attachment, resentment and ignorance, referred to as Raga, Dosa, Moha in Pali, the Buddha's language, lead to our process of thinking. Thinking means creating mental objects. They are illusions. Our sense organs, as I mentioned earlier, cannot know any object outside us. Really, actually, they have a partial vision of those objects, not the reality of that. We can see atoms, we can see electrons, we can hear all sounds. We can't hear radio waves with our naked ear. And we need binoculars, telescopes to see the size of objects. But that is also not the reality that we see. Thus, through ignorance, we get either attached to certain objects or we resent certain objects. And that leads to thinking. When we get attached, we think of getting them. If we don't have it, if we get them, we think of preserving them, protecting them. If we have objects that are unpleasant, we think of getting rid of them. If you do not know the real nature of something, if you have some doubts, doubt is created by ignorance, then we started thinking of clearing the doubts. Our mind is filled by the thought created by thinking and feelings associated with those thoughts. The real state of mind called Nirvana is in the empty mind. Once the mind is free of the thinking process, thoughts and feelings. It is that empty mind that contains the real nature or the real state, the original state of ourselves called Nirvana. As Nirvana is within us, within our own mind, there is no need for seeking Nirvana outside us. Only thing is, Nirvana has to be discovered within. To discover Nirvana within, we have to remove the covering. Covering is the imprison that imprisons the actual, real, original nature of us called Nirvana. And those thoughts, as I mentioned earlier, are created by our positive, negative desires as well as our ignorance of the reality. They are referred to as I mentioned earlier, raga, dosa, moha. That can be translated in English as attachment, resentment, and ignorance of things outside us as well as inside us. What is inside us? The object that we see inside us are mental creation. They are only mental images. Images are illusions, like images in a glass, like images in a computer screen, like images in a cinema screen. They look real, but they are not real. They are illusions. And not knowing that they are illusions is called ignorance. Due to that, the mind is always searching for a bliss, searching for pleasure, searching for self-satisfaction. It is that process of thinking that creates all the suffering, the mental suffering that we experience. Realization of Nirvana or enlightenment is the removing the darkness of ignorance called our knowledge. Our knowledge is really ignorance because our knowledge is gathered through our sense organs that cannot know the real nature of anything. Therefore, our knowledge is built by wrong data, false data. They are illusions. Once we stop thinking, no more creation of mental images that are illusions, and the mind is free from all mental images, and that is an empty mind, a void mind. In that lies our original nature called Nirvana. The process of achieving that stage, realization of Nirvana, is referred to as bhavana in Pali and translated into English as meditation. English word meditation is thinking, but a Buddhist meditation is non-thinking, practicing only awareness without thinking of what our sense organs become aware of, what our mind becomes aware of, but just being content with what we are aware of, knowing that they are not real. Once we realize that our mental images are illusions, our attachment to mental images and our resentment of mental images vanishes. Then there appears that empty mind with the original content called our original nature, the Nirvana, the supreme bliss, the mind free from thinking. That is why Nirvana is called a silent mind by Krishnamurti. Silence in the mind means thinking is inner speaking. The mind does not speak inwardly. The mind is silent. Therefore, no more creations. All mental creations are mental defilements that cover the original nature, the original bliss of Nirvana within us. And that can be realized, as Buddha said, that is by stopping thinking. Not deliberately, when the thinking process stops. That is what happened at the Buddha's enlightenment, that the referred to in his first paean of joy called Udana Vakya as Visankaragatan Chitta. Thinking ceased at my enlightenment. The mind became free of thinking. Free of thinking means free of creating illusions, free of the defilements created by those illusions, by our getting attached to or resenting or ignoring. Once the mind is empty of its content, called thoughts and feelings, there dawns the light of wisdom or the insight into the real bliss in us called Nirvana. It appears at the end of the meditation process called bhavana in Pali. At that stage, even the meditation ceases. The mind becomes free of all activities. The body is inactive, not acting. The mouth is not speaking. The mind is not thinking. And that is the stage in which we can realize the supreme bliss of Nirvana, our original nature, our original state, imprisoned in us, hidden in us, in our own mind. Therefore, look at your own mind. Look deeply into the mind through the insight and realize the supreme bliss within it, beyond all the thinking process and the feeling process.